Welcome to another episode of the About the Process podcast where Rufus is back.
I'm
Rufus, you're
back,
back.
baby.
Yeah. What did you think of the Kanzi and
Oh,
Sprots better episode?
I thought it was fantastic. I think that you
Besides
should think
Kanzi
about
feeling
having
like
them
he was
replace
in
me
a
full time.
it's a different vibe. I definitely agree with whoever said Kanzi needs like a better microphone. He's very soft spoken. It's interesting. What did you find anything interesting? Did you find anything you didn't agree with? Like I know it was a little while ago that you probably
It was
listened
a
to it.
week ago.
Yeah. Like, I mean, but I don't know how
Well,
well
I
you
mean,
remember things
obviously, I
from.
think that I mean, I don't remember anything from a week ago, but the basketball talk, obviously I can't contribute the same things there, but um
I'm
I'm
trying to think
literally
if
drawing a
anything if
blank. So
anything from the basketball came out of it. I mean, I think the idea of prop betting in basketball still being incredibly easy and lucrative to beat was interesting. Um, the idea that things change in the playoffs also interesting. Um, the idea
oh, and the
of
fact and I mean, I thought it was interesting what Mark was saying, what Sprats was saying about not betting the playoffs and sort of the being concerned not just about whether you win or lose here, but your reputation and if if you don't have as big an edge in the playoffs and let's say you had a bad run, it's going to make it harder to get down in the regular season next year.
yeah. Well, that's because your beards don't want to bet
Yeah,
with you anymore, right?
right, exactly. But that's a huge, I mean, that's a big concern. You can have a model that's winning, but if you don't have access to outs,
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
yeah.
Uh, anything else interesting? I think what so
I
uh
mean,
s-
I'm a new person now, so that's good.
oh yeah, you went to this relationship thing you were
Yeah, I
tweeting about.
did.
Do you want to
Pathways to partnership. It was
I mean,
fantastic.
what is give
I
us
spent
one
I
thing that
spent
you
a
learned
week.
about give us one thing you like what is the biggest thing that you learned that you think could have made any of your past relationships better now that you know?
Um, well, I'm not sure about that. I think it's more for me. I think maybe because of past relationships and stuff, I have some sort of self-limiting beliefs. And I've also realized that I can't always trust my quote chemistry compass, Jeff. It can be miscalibrated in the sense that
Is that
the
your penis?
hey now,
It's not a what? I
this is a
mean,
family show.
it's not really a family
No, the
show. I
meaning
mean, I
like
guess your
you
par
go on a first
your
date.
family listens to it, so maybe it is a family show, but
Meaning you go on a first date and there's the first dates where you have like an insane amount of chemistry with someone, and that can kind of blind you to whether the person will actually be a good partner for you. And you should be optimizing for like years 2 to 50 of the relationship, not years 0 to 2. And a lot of it comes down to just having the same core values. And
interesting.
but I was able to reframe my relationship narrative
What
and
is your new
met a
relationship
bunch of
narrative?
well, it's
Do people
personal.
hook up at this thing?
Uh, not at mine, they didn't.
Is it
But
frowned upon? I'm sure it's frowned
I
upon.
don't think so. I don't think there's any rules regarding it. But I'll tell you, the first thing I did when we got there, we had to like introduce ourselves and say the things we were working on or wanted to learn.
And
And I
you're like, I'm
basically,
Rufus. I'm a sexaholic. And sorry, what?
no, I basically said all the bad things about me in relationships. And Amy was like, she said in sort of this tone of voice, she's like, well, that's self-aware. Um, but I, my
I mean,
goal was my goal. There were a lot of very attractive people there, but my goal was to what? My goal was not my goal. This was work on myself. This is
no,
not
I
going
I
out there and just
applaud.
trying to do the same thing that I always like. I'm
I'm
not
teasing
trying to
you.
repeat
I
old
applaud you
problematic
for
behavior.
I'm teasing you. I applaud you for doing this. And I think self-work and everyone that I know that's gone to something like Esalen is, it's transformative. It's important. And self-work is obviously incredibly important. It's definitely more important than you telling people to use AI as a therapist, but that will move beyond that.
For sure. And Esalen is just the most magical place. It's so beautiful. And I mean, I think anybody that's got a chance to go should.
Okay. Let's move into our interview, which is with Allan Levy or Levy. I don't even know. I can't
Levy.
remember. Levy from 4C Predictions. And then we'll talk to you guys all again on the other side. We now welcome in Allan
Levy's good. Yeah.
Allan Levy to the Bet the Process podcast. Allan is the founder of 4C, which is doing some machine learning and whatnot in the sports betting world. But I might as well just let him tell us a little bit about it. So, Allan, tell us a little bit about what you're up to.
Thanks so much. So first of all, thanks for having me on the podcast. Really excited to be here. 4C Predictions is the destination for predictive analytics models. We sell predictions basically. And the thesis is that AI will be able to predict everything better than humans at some point in time. So where are people going to go to get their AI predictions? What we've done at 4C is we have created a platform where AI analytics professionals, PhDs, data analysts, scientists can put their prediction models using AI, and then consumers can follow those predictions. So basically, we say we're a G2C platform, genius to customer. We connect the genius that builds the AI prediction directly to the customer that needs the AI prediction. And the way we look at it, it's going to be virtually impossible in the very near future for human beings to make any smart decisions without the assistance of AI. So we're trying to put all the world's best predictions all in one place so people can make better, faster, and smarter decisions with AI.
So are you hosting these models or on your servers and from these geniuses?
That's exactly what we're doing. Yeah. So we can think of it like Instagram for predictions, but instead of following someone that teaches you how to get abs, you're following someone that is going to give you a prediction that can hopefully help you make better financial decisions or better decisions in your life.
So can I ask, what is the incentive for someone who builds an AI model to want to use 4C and to host it, and to want to put it out into the world for that matter?
Okay, so there's two things. At the moment, we've been very, very selective, and we'll continue to be selective about the type of creators that we bring onto the platform, which we call our geniuses. So we're looking for people kind of with proven track records in data analytics. Of the 39 creators on the platform at the moment, 12 are PhDs, 9 have got master's degrees in data analytics and engineering. And their incentive is that we'll split the revenue for the customer because the customer subscribes to get the predictions, and we split the revenue. But more importantly, probably, and more fundamentally than that, is the type of people that we attract into the platform. We believe in the power of AI. We believe that human beings are going to make better decisions using AI. And it really feels like a community, because up until AI, if you think about how human beings make decisions, at best, we're doing a little bit of research ourselves. At worst, we're asking our buddy at the bar next to us if we should buy Nvidia stock or following a TikTok influencer. So that's really a inelegant and inaccurate way of getting information. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to attract the best creators, and the geniuses themselves are excited to be on the platform because they want to show the power of their predictions. If you got a prediction model that predicts, for example, the property prices in New York with 70% accuracy, where do you display that? Where is the trophy case that you can showcase that? At the moment, there isn't one, and 4C provides that.
So would then the path be for one of these geniuses to sort of build a reputation there and then, maybe get, I don't want to say get hired, but have people invest in them, and kind of disappear from the platform? Is that kind of the life cycle?
Well, absolutely. We're hoping that they won't disappear from the platform, but kind of what you think about, if you think about other platforms and the podcasting platform and other platforms, as people become more and more famous, the platform itself grows in fame and popularity, and the creators, you're absolutely correct, and the geniuses grow in popularity. So if I was a predictive analytics professional and I had a model that could predict the Ethereum price with extraordinary accuracy, I've got two choices. I can go and try and knock on doors of 100 hedge funds and beg on my knees and say, this is my model, please look at me, along with 1,000 other people that are saying the same thing. or I can display it on 4C. I can prove the track record. I can show it in a public forum. I can get followers. And then you're absolutely right. When I'm famous, hopefully then I can either get a job, raise a hedge fund, or use that data to do something extraordinary with.
Question. Are you using AI to vet the geniuses?
Absolutely. We're using AI to find them, to vet them. If you say the sentence, are we using AI too? You can almost follow it by anything, and the answer will be yes. Our team is obsessed with AI, clearly, and we are leveraging it for almost every use case in the business, but we are definitely use it to find and vet the geniuses. Yeah.
Can you explain to us a little bit about, again, how you source these guys, and then how you vet them? Because I think ultimately that's the secret sauce here, right? You have to find people that no one else knows about that actually have an edge, and have maybe a different approach or for that alpha. Like, I mean, where do you think that the alpha? I guess there's three questions here. One, how do you find them? How do you vet them? And generally, where do you think this alpha is coming from? Because we obviously know like some of this AI stuff is a bit of a commodity in terms of just the ability to model and whatnot. So where is that alpha coming from?
Okay, so that's great questions. Basically, the way that the AI finds them is we try and give the AI the problem statement of what we're trying to build. So for example, we're trying to build a prediction model that's going to predict Bitcoin price in 3 weeks' time. Then we say to the AI, go out and find the best possible creators, the best possible geniuses that could build that model. They'll come back with a whole lot of names. And then we reach out and say, you've been selected by the AI. Would you like to apply to have your model on 4C? And if anyone's listening now that's writing extraordinarily accurate prediction models, we are definitely welcoming applications. In the beginning, it's been a little bit of a manual onboarding process. So it's taken us a little bit of a while to onboard the first creators, but now that is becoming exceedingly automated. So it'll be very, very simple for a model creator to onboard on the platform. And basically, the AI will check the credentials of the genius. Also on the platform, we've got LinkedIn profiles of every genius. So someone who's following a model can understand who's built that model, what their credentials are, and can kind of do a dive into the creator. And if you think about it, up until, as I say, very, very recently, if I wanted to buy a stock or a crypto or bet on a sports team, and I wanted to hire a PhD analyst to analyze that crypto for me, that would be probably a prohibitively expensive exercise. Now what we're doing is we're democratizing it. You're able to connect to these people as a customer that you never, ever, ever would have had access to before. As to where the alpha is coming from, that's the most interesting question. So if you think about predictions and predictive analytics, it's basically like baking a cake. If you've got the ingredients and the recipe, you're going to get the cake. The ingredients is obviously the data, and the recipe is how we put it together. The AI can recognize patterns that human beings can never, ever recognize, and more importantly, probably have never even thought of recognizing. So for example, one of the AIs picked up that refs tend to call more fouls against teams with primary colored jerseys. Okay, that's an extraordinary thing to pick up. And a human being, it's unlikely that you would pick up that kind of pattern. So the alpha comes in pattern recognition. The AI's ability to ingest huge, huge data sets and to find patterns that even with hindsight, human beings would probably find extraordinarily difficult to find, if we can find them or understand them at all. And as AI and computer advances, it's very, very likely that we're not going to be able to understand why it's making the decisions it's making or why it's giving the predictions it's giving. We will only understand the outputs.
What's the typical background of a person that's one of your geniuses?
Typically, it's either a PhD or they've got a master's degree in engineering or data analytics. And we try and, in the beginning especially, we put in a huge emphasis on finding people that are passionate about giving amazing predictions. which is basically why I say we're a community. If you think about humanity and you think about the way that we make decisions at the moment, we've got this internal joke in the company that I'm happy to share, that the bar's pretty low because all we have to beat is human decision making. And we as humans make incorrect decisions so often that it's a relatively low bar. So if I think about kind of drawing on my personal experience, the stocks that I've bought over time, the crypto that I've bought over time, I was not reading the financial reports. I was not reading the quarterly reports. Okay. I was literally, as I say, either just watching a television channel, getting my information off the internet, maybe a social influencer, maybe a friend, but I certainly didn't have a team of PhD analysts looking at the data, analyzing it using AI, and then giving me an output. And the output is we have to be better than humans. So it's you plus AI equals a better decision. At the moment, the creators, the people that we're looking for, are passionate about this mission. They think that with AI, we can empower people to make better, smarter, and faster decisions that they can improve their lives. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to take information and democratize it.
So I would argue that you don't have to be better than humans. The bar is much higher. You need to be better than the collective market, which is comprised of a bunch of humans, but a bunch of humans building AI models, for example. And so I feel like that's a substantially higher bar to clear.
Correct. So if you want to create alpha, right, you need to be better than the collective of humans. But it's still humans. It's still people making those decisions.
But it's other people. I mean, hedge funds are using AI, so they're doing a lot of the same things. Well, eventually, you all won't be the only ones using AI. So
absolutely,
a lot of these sort of patterns will get recognized by the broader market. So, where does the alpha come from at that point?
Okay, so I'll answer that question in two parts. As I say, up until kind of very, very recently, the type of information that hedge funds were given, the type of information that private banks were given, are only available to an extraordinarily privileged few people. So it's not democratized information. There is a significant disadvantage if you're a consumer kind of buying retail stocks or picking stocks yourselves or picking cryptos yourselves, or even picking a sports team to bet on, compared to bookmakers or sharp bettors that have got access to tons of information. Our first challenge is to level that playing field. How do we give an average person the same information and the same access to information, okay, as the bookmakers or as the stock analysts or as the private bankers or as crypto analysts? That's the first step. And we feel like we do that by providing extraordinary creators. And that's the second answer to the question. The second answer to the question is that as we continue to onboard more and more creators, people are bringing their own data sets, their own methodologies, and it allows us to accumulate extraordinary talent all in one place. So if you think about even the largest hedge funds, the largest banks in the world, okay, it's unlikely that they'll be able to accumulate as many creators and as many data sets as a platform, because what you're doing is you draw in from a pool of knowledge. Basically, Wikipedia versus old school encyclopedias. It didn't matter how many people you had writing those encyclopedias. When you crowdsourced Wikipedia, you got infinitely better knowledge.
Yes, but I think it's an issue of incentives too. I mean, to get the best creators, they need to be incentivized. And I think hedge funds can incentivize smart people a little more lucratively.
Maybe and maybe not. I'll tell you, I'll just kind of challenge that statement a little bit, because that works if you are a graduate of Wharton Business School and you live in America and you've got a path to a hedge fund. But if you were born in Johannesburg, South Africa, like I was, and you graduated from the Randse Afrikaanse Universiteit, which no one's ever heard of in America, even though I did graduate first in my class, even though I did write my master's thesis on fundamental and technical analysis of currencies, I still couldn't get a job at a hedge fund in America because A, I couldn't get to America. I didn't have a clear visa path. Now, obviously, I managed to get one. And B, because no one had ever heard of the university that I graduated from. So my credentials on a South African scale were impeccable. My credentials on American scale were non-existent. Now, if you're in Bangalore, India, rural China, if you haven't got access to the kind of opportunities that you're talking about, it's a lot more difficult to display your prowess, even if you're extraordinarily gifted, even if you are doing extremely, extremely well in your country. It's not always, the doors aren't always open. So what we can do is we can give global reach to people, and we are reaching out, not necessarily to the name brand Harvard, MIT professors of analytics yet, we will, but to people in underdeveloped or developing countries, highly, highly skilled people that haven't got access to display their predictions. It's the same level of geniuses, but without the access.
So in essence,
I mean, it's a
Jeff.
I mean, I get what you guys are doing, right? It's this idea that like previously there was no way for you're creating a marketplace for experts that are good at predicting things using AI.
Correct.
To profit off of that with people that are looking to get better at predictions. So I think Rufus's like main issue is like, is this really possible over time? And, you know, I think understanding where the alpha I mean, it's conceptually, I get it. Do you, tell us a little bit more about like the company itself, like, and, you know, like where are you guys trying to go with this? What's that?
You know, they did a competition against Sean Perry for $1 million, filling out a bracket.
And you guys won, right?
We won, yeah. It was actually an extraordinary competition, and Sean and I are friends, and
that's a strike right there.
The competition basically started because of a conversation exactly like this, and the conversation was, AI can never predict sports because sports is uncertain outcomes, and my answer to that is, you are not smarter than $1 trillion worth of technology. You are not smarter than a team of PhDs. You are not smarter than data sets. You are not as sharp as you think you are compared to AI. You might be a brilliant sports bettor, but you're not a brilliant sports bettor compared to AI. And that's how the challenge started. And we are going to, as a company, issue another challenge, the exact same thing for stocks, as soon as we launch stocks, where we say that we will challenge the largest hedge fund managers, wealth managers in the world for $1 million. I'm prepared to put up the money and see who can predict stocks outcome the best. So we're definitely in the business of putting our money where our mouth is. And you're absolutely correct. That is what we're trying to create. We're trying to create a marketplace for AI predictions where people can get quality predictions. You know, if you type in AI predictions now into Google, unfortunately, there is a ton of information. Some of it I'll say is exceptional, and some of it I'll say is exceptionally suspicious.
I'm gonna give you the age old,
yes,
the age old cynical view on your business, which is essentially you're just the next generation of creating a marketplace for touts, where the touts just happen to have AI that is they can hide behind or they can say is their thing. But you know, if you're really good at predicting things, you go predict them and make money off them yourself. You don't go to a marketplace and sell them for $10 a month per an individual. So why am I to believe that this is any different just because you slap 2 letters AI on the front of it?
Okay, so that's, first of all, it's a very good question, very interesting question, because I think that there has been a fundamental change. AI has brought about a fundamental change in the way people need to think about almost everything that they do in their lives. So to answer that question about touts, I don't think so, because an AI is disimpassioned. It's got no...
Right. I don't think Jeff's defining tout
Sorry.
like a pushy salesperson, but someone that's selling picks, basically.
Okay.
There's a classic a classic model around anyone that's selling information in a marketplace, that information could be incredibly good, but the minute you start selling it, right, you put it into the market, it influences the market,
It
and
loses value.
ultimately you lose a lot of value from that. In addition to that, there's a question of like, if you are really a winner, you can make more money deploying your capital. Now we've had this conversation with people like Dr. Bob, who's kind of like a famous tout about like how he can make more money doing what he does, and you run into limits certainly in sports betting, where it's hard to deploy capital in certain situations, but certainly in stocks, there's no limits, right? Like if you
Well,
there's
there are
no
limits.
Yeah.
not anywhere compared to what money they'd
Yes.
be making off this marketplace. This marketplace isn't going to make them shit for money unless
Well,
it scales
if if
to
they
a
have models
huge
to
level.
predict penny stocks, like small cap penny stocks, then yes. If it's public
Rufus,
equity
stop.
markets, then yes. Okay.
That like publicly traded markets are different than sports betting. Finance is different
Yes.
generally than sports betting in terms of the liquidity.
Well, it's different in scale, but there
Yes.
still is the point where, I mean, a hedge fund that's managing 20 billion dollars can't, find the same. They can't go after the
Yes. Okay,
same
fine.
alpha.
Fine. But that's not what we're talking about here.
Okay.
We're talking about why would an individual not just go do this themselves versus making, at this point, it's going to take a long time before someone is making significant money as a genius on 4C, I would guess.
Yeah. So it's difficult to kind of, even though I'm in the prediction business, it's difficult to kind of predict that. I'm going to answer it the second part of the question first. I'm going to say that right now in 2025, it kind of is the default thing for us to make almost all our decisions without AI companions. We've done it our whole life, and life has been pretty good. So it's very, very difficult to picture that in 3 or 4 years' time, every single financial decision that you make, you will have to have some type of AI companion that's helping you make those decisions. Because if you don't, you basically enter into a contest where everyone's got bionic armor and you're the only one that hasn't. So a lot of people or a lot of adopters are going to quickly realize that you plus AI is way better decision making than you alone. So I don't think that AI assisted decision making, okay, is going to be a nice to have. I think it's going to be something that's going to be default behavior for all humans. And I think that's kind of the second part of the question. And I'll answer the first part of the question about the touts and the talent. Again, I think you're thinking of things from a perspective of America and a perspective of access. Okay, if I've got a model, say that's, for example, that's predicting Apple stocks, and I'm making 10 to 12% a year predicting Apple stocks, and I live in South Africa and I don't have access to capital and I haven't got rich parents, okay, it's not as easy as going to raise $1 billion hedge fund.
Yeah, but you're missing the point of this too, right?
Yeah.
Like that's only part of it. I'll agree, fine, that maybe this person in the village that somehow got access to compute is doing so well. It's more what happens when they continue to put that information in the marketplace and they're successful. Over time, the people that buy them, if too many people are subscribed to them, like your success will create will basically like destroy your alpha at some level.
You cannibalize yourself.
So if you think about kind of the future of AI and the future of humans, almost everything should become more efficient and move towards efficient markets. And that could take 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, okay? In the middle, from time where we are now T0, where markets are extraordinarily efficient and the AI is taking every variable, there are a ton of decisions that need to be made. Human beings have to maximize those decision makings and they need valuable information on where to do it. As to whether markets will eventually become so efficient that there isn't an alpha, my guess is absolutely. At some point in the future, it's going to be impossible to do what we do now as humans, because basically what we do and the way we get alpha is just a disparity of information, right? I've got information that someone else hasn't got, or they've got information that I haven't got. And by information, that can be access to analysts, access to something that I don't have, okay? But that's why there's stock trading, because I think that it's going to go up and you think it's going to go down. If in the future, in a perfectly efficient market, you're absolutely correct. There should not be alpha. But between now and then, there's a lot of water under the bridge, and people are going to have to make decisions, and they're going to have to get their AI predictions from somewhere, and somewhere credible. That's what it all comes down to. It all comes down to who is making these predictions and what is their incentive. Now, on our platform, the only incentive is to try and get accuracy, because the higher accuracy, the more subscribers you'll get, the more famous you'll get. Okay, but you have got no secondary market. In other words, if you tell me to buy or sell Apple stock, you're not making a commission on it. And that's the challenge at the moment with human advice. The challenge with human advice is that your financial advisor is not disimpassioned.
No, I mean, it's there are a host of reasons why people make bad decisions, and there's like principal agent problem, which you're highlighting, which we talk a lot about on this podcast, is a big reason for it again. So
Jeff, you're our principal agent, by the way.
yeah, there we go. Okay. Rufus, you have one last question?
I do, actually. And so I kind of wanted to go back to the sports betting for a second. And you talked about pattern recognition and big data sets, and the referees calling more fouls on teams that have primary colors and on their jersey. But I think a lot of sports betting comes down to small data problems and edge cases, and it's not sort of a stationary thing. I mean, the NFL changes the rules, it seems like every year now on kickoffs. And so they're basically, you're having to react to data that you're having to forecast based on date without really having any data yet to know how these rule changes are going to impact things. And so I think it ceases to become a pattern recognition, becomes more like how do you put this old data in the context of this sort of new framework or new rules, but you have to put it within sort of a framework to think about it. And the second thing is that I also think that pattern recognition can be a double-edged sword. The AI is going to find lots of patterns that are very descriptive, but these will not all be predictive going forward, both for reasons of non-stationarity and also just randomness. And I know you can say, this is cross-validated, but it depends on what that sort of threshold is. It might have made better predictions out of sample thus far, maybe the jersey color thing or something like that, but that doesn't necessarily mean it will continue to. And no matter how much you cross-validate, you're still going to have the issues of overfitting. And I think this is especially problematic when you have small samples.
So I'm going to kind of answer you in a bit of a tangential way, and I'm going to throw the question a little bit back at you. So I'm going to say that human beings have got the exact same challenge. If the NFL changes the rule, as a human being, even if I am the world's foremost expert on NFL, I still have to take the data that's in my lexicon in my brain and the compute power that's in my brain and come to some kind of a prediction. The AI is doing the exact same thing. The difference is that it can analyze an extraordinary number of data sets super quickly. Okay.
But I'm right. But my whole point is small data though. So
yeah. But basically, so what I would say to you is, if you were choosing, okay, would you bet against an AI if the AI was only allowed to use data?
Oh, yes, definitely.
You would bet against the AI?
At this, maybe not in 5 years, but at this point, absolutely.
I will absolutely take that challenge. Tell me the amount and the game.
Let's predict golf, and I'm down for, I'll go up to $1 million.
Okay, amazing. So let's do it. Let's put that together. That'll be really exciting. We'll build some golf models, and that'll be super exciting.
Let's do it for the Open Championship, which is the British Open, which is where people talk similar to you. So I think, I would like variance to be lower. So I'd like a longer sample size, but I also don't want anything published.
Okay, so we can agree on the terms and conditions, but basically, so first of all, I respect you a lot for saying that. It really shows a lot about the depth of your knowledge. And then the other thing is, you made an interesting qualification, and the interesting qualification you said was like in 2025. Would you be prepared to take the same bet 2026 and 2027?
I don't know. I don't know where AI is going to be at that point,
yeah.
I mean, I do think that there is some point. I think you're right in that there will be some point where my edges are not the same.
Correct.
But I think, yeah, I don't think we're at that point yet.
Okay, so we'll definitely
People have
see.
been telling me, I mean, there's this one guy on Twitter who was
Yes.
saying, 8 years ago that there's no way I make money doing this because it's already been solved by machine learning.
Yeah,
And
so that I don't agree with, by the way, and I believe that you can still make money sports betting if you are a sharp sports bettor. You can still make money stock trading if you are Renaissance Technologies.
what makes someone a sharp sports bettor is the question then.
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, I don't have the answer to that, but
I use computing power, but
okay.
I also, yeah.
So what I do know is the average person, the average consumer, okay, has not got access to the
Of course.
information that you guys have got. That's what we're trying to bring to the table. How do we level the playing fields? And I'm not only talking about,
it's a zero-sum game though. It really is. Market predictions and marketplaces are a zero-sum game. So by level of the playing field, it's still, it's still zero-sum. There's still the same number of winners and losers.
sure, but you
Make
shift it.
winners the people that are using your platform.
Correct. That's exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying that, and I'm prepared to put my money where my mouth is, happy to develop some golf models and happy to have either a public or private challenge. No problem. I think it'll be super exciting. And if we do it over a longer period, I'm happy with that as well. I'm happy to have a 3-year challenge, whatever works for you. But we've got guys that have pitched to us about golfing models. We haven't put anything on yet about it, but I'm happy to look into that. I think it's an interesting time in history that we can have these debates, because I think that in 5 years' time, these debates are moot. And I think that 5 years previously, like if we were having this debate in 2020, okay, I would 100% say AI's got no chance, just no chance. So I think that we're at a very interesting, very, very pivotal time in history. And I think it's really exciting to be part of it.
I think we can agree on that.
Yeah.
All right, Allan, thank you so much for joining us. What is the company's 4C? What's the URL that people should go to? 4C Predictions?
4cpredictions.ai. Yeah. Check it out. Check out the predictions. There's some for free. And then also, if you take the predictions, hopefully it can give you the edge that we've been talking about.
Okay, and we will get back to you on this idea of this challenge. I love it. Sounds great.
Okay, super exciting. Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks,
really
Allan.
appreciate the time.
Okay, bye-bye. Well, that was our interview, and I won't miss up his name again, but what did you think, Rufus?
It was interesting. I think I'm skeptical of a lot of this, and I think you are too, Jeff, but
I'm not skeptical
of the power of AI, but
I think at a macro level, the idea, and again, like, I don't think this is any different than any other like expert marketplace or like any like, it's like, how is this any different than what is Pizzola's company, the one BetStamp? Like, it's not that different than any of these. Like, it's no BetStamp, where you're like, have a network of people tracking your picks, and you have experts on one side, and yes, at the core, you could be like, I'm sure there's some people that can beat the market that are undiscovered, but this is the classic Sprague tout chart, right? And like, you get down to this idea that, like, if the information is really valuable, why are you not betting it yourself? And then when you do keep putting it in the market, go ahead.
Can I push back on that one thing? I think the Sprague chart makes a lot more sense in sports betting markets than it does in like financial markets.
Sure.
Where if you're doing well in financial markets, you're not returning hundreds of % on your bankroll like you can in sports betting.
Yeah,
well, so notion
you have more capital requirements to make money, and that's why you see hedge funds.
What I think is like a little bit more interesting about this is this notion of AI, and how different it is than any of the preceding technologies before it, right? So like, using analytics to predict something, machine learning, AI, like how different is AI? Like, meaning, like, is it really this new paradigm that changes things? And so the place that I think it's a new paradigm that changes things is not in the prediction world for me.
I agree.
It's in the workflow world. Like, you and I talk about this all the time. We're like, like, I have been working on this new thing at work and decided to write a fake press release for the launch of this product. And of course, I went to ChatGPT to do it, and it spit out this amazing press release that I was then able to send around and be like, "Hey guys, I just wrote this up." And someone was like, "Oh wow, this is great." And I was like, "It was all ChatGPT," and they had no idea, right? And so like the workflow around these things is more interesting to me than saying like, "Oh, I'm going to use AI to model things and to beat the market." And again, like, I mean, what do you think the over under the amount of times that our guest said AI was?
I don't know. It's
A
50.
lot. It was a
But,
lot.
but I agree, and I think that generative AI has a lot of use cases, as you said. But I don't, to echo, I mean, to echo what you said, I don't think it is prediction yet. And I think that, and so when he said AI, I mean, it's a very broad term, and I do think at some point AI will be able to do these things really well, probably, but it's it's not there yet. And right now, I mean, I think the AI models that are being built are a lot of machine learning things, a lot of, it's, and there are great statistical models out there, but it's not that much different than it was 5 years ago in that sense. I mean, it is more advanced, but it hasn't been a paradigm shift for predictions. That's kind of my argument.
What yeah, I would agree. Um what do you think? How do you think we should structure this contest you do with him?
I don't know.
Should you guys predict the like because you have a set thing like that you're going to predict, right? Like I mean,
Well, what
we
I would like the biggest sample. I would like it to be, well, I'd like to be less susceptible to variance,
well,
clearly,
of course. But
which means
what's
not just like a bracket contest, right? So
no, but I
if
mean
it
like
was
wouldn't you do something like over the next, whenever he's ready from that point forward, like who can be better at predicting the top 10 in each tournament?
something like that, or we have some root mean square error thing that we're betting based off of, you know what I mean? Looking at actual minus expected scores, if we both submit predictions for those, something like that.
Well, why don't you propose something and then we'll see if he'll do it and we'll see if they'll sponsor it because we need sponsors now. We're back to like needing sponsors again.
We
Yeah, we've burned through all our
we're
sponsorship
out of
money.
money again.
We're out of money. We're getting close. We'll see. I don't know what we're gonna do. Costs so much to run this podcast. So,
It's,
um,
I mean,
any
it
other
really
things?
does. It's this is like the pinnacle of production.
Highest production there is. Any other things interesting to you that you want to talk about?
Uh, not really things for bet the process. So
I took Bobby Mack per your suggestion. I was originally going to take uh Sam, what's his name, Burns.
Burns,
So he's 4 under, but Bobby Mack could be better than 4 under, so we'll see.
he could also be way worse.
He's 1 under right now. My new thing
Worse.
is like I try to create like a Calcutta type experience for myself by picking like a few golfers and betting outrights and betting like top fives and top tens for them. And my 3 golfers this week are Sam Burns, Shane Lowry, and Rob McIntyre, Bobby Mack.
Okay, so you got to sweat.
Yeah, always got to sweat. And then next week, U.S. Open. Who should we have on for the U.S. Open? And we got the U.S. Open Calcutta, hopefully. I
It's
think
true. It's
everyone
gonna
will
be
be
a fun
back.
week. I don't know. Let's we've had a lot of really we've had a lot of really good golf guests this year.
Lamagna was great.
He was great.
He was really good.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody has any ideas.
There's got to be some good golf people out there that we could
We've
be
already
talking
got all
to.
the good golf people.
How much do you think, and I know that there's like some scar tissue here, but how data golf has like completely transformed the betting markets, haven't they?
Well, I think what they've done is provide good information that didn't exist elsewhere. You know, anybody
How
can
much have
get
they
their
how
raw
much have
data.
they how much have they um challenged your edge, you think?
Well, I mean, they've clearly made the market more efficient. And I think if someone is just blindly betting openers right when data golf comes out on Monday midday, um, I think you're going to make money betting those openers. But I also think that there's opportunities. At least I have found that the best avenues to get down are where I disagree with data golf, and then it allows me to be able to get down a lot more than I would otherwise.
And that's not adverse selection?
Well, it's adverse selection for both of us if you think about it.
No, but I mean, does it end up? It does not. No, because it's not necessarily adverse unless you lose, right?
Exactly.
But I'm asking you, is that adverse selection for you, or do you do quite well there?
No, I've done well in those. I mean, I'm not hitting my theoretical, but I never expect to do that. So it's if I'm betting a 5% edge into market resistance, I'm hoping to make 3.5%.
Got it.
Anywhere,
Uh,
yeah, 2% above, I'll be happy probably on that. And but again, I mean, that's just how the market works,
well,
and
I
betting
got
markets
one.
work in general. You can always get more down when there's adverse selection. So your biggest bets are going to be smaller edges typically.
Okay, I'm not going to name the sports book, but we're working on a promo potentially with a sports book based on the fact that like Troon, we have a bunch of like advocates or people that work with us, not advocates, like endorsers. So we have
Influencers.
Rory, we have Alex Noren, Gary Woodland, Matt Fitzpatrick, Justin Thomas, Eric Van Royen. These are some of our influencers. That might be all of it. I don't know if I'm missing them,
You
but
got EVR. Let's go. That
I'll send you the names of these, and you need to give me a price for one of them to win the U.S. Open.
okay.
Because essentially that's the promo we're working on is for with the sports book for one of them. You can bet
I'll
on
tell you,
one of them to win.
100% EVR.
You like EV? He was like, did you see his his qualifying round?
Yeah, he just
Do you
destroyed
love
it
do you
by
like
6 strokes.
EVR or something?
We've been big EVR supporters over the years. I'd say.
He's a delightful human, by the way. We had a whole issue at a Troon event where the person, oh, it was Matt Kuchar was supposed to be there, and unfortunately his father passed away, so he had to fly home to deal with that. So he didn't like last minute couldn't come to the event. And EVR was like on his couch and came by and stood in for him and was just such a prince of a man. And he works with our
He's a
friend
great
Corey
dude.
Jez, so
Yeah.
we highly support EVR winning it all, 100%. So
And
even money.
he's a pioneer of joggers in the game of professional golf. Without EVR, we might not have joggers in professional golf.
Do you feel like joggers are generally like on the decline from a, I mean, they're on a decline in my life. I hardly wear joggers anymore. For a long time I used to wear
Leave it to
joggers.
Jeff saying they're on decline because they're in a
Well,
decline.
not, I mean, it's again like it's availability heuristic, right?
Yeah.
I'm placing a lot of probability on something that's deep in my life. Okay, anything else?
Sadly, EVR is 1 over through 4 holes today.
Yeah, but he's already made the U.S. Open, right? He
I
already
know.
qualified.
Yeah, but I care about how he does in the Canadian Open right now.
Ooh, do you have him in the Canadian Open?
I do.
Oh, nice. All right,
I
Roof.
do. Believe it or not, I actually use data from the qualifiers, which Data Golf did not do.
Okay. So sounds like we might watch the US Open together, at least Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah.
That'd
I'm
be
going to be
fun.
out in San Diego for my first ever paid corporate speaking gig,
Oh,
which Jeff kind of gave me the nudge to do.
yeah.
And
You're gonna be like
I'll get out of my
encroaching on
comfort
my
zone.
corner. You're encroaching on my corner, so I don't know if I like this.
Jeff's mentoring me.
Yeah. I'm sure you're gonna do great. You're gonna be nervous as shit though.
I won't be nearly as nervous as I would
You
have
will
been
be nervous.
years ago.
I still get like a teeny bit nervous
Yeah.
before I do one, and I've probably done 500 in my life,
Yeah.
at least. So
Do you get
you'll
nervous
get
when you record about the process?
no.
But you're talking to more people,
Yes.
7 people.
Yes. I get nervous.
What about
I don't
TV?
really get nervous. I would get nervous for TV because I suck at TV.
You're looking
Um,
into a camera. It's really hard. You're staring at this like red
yeah,
light.
it's a hard thing to do when you're not talented. Yeah, no, I mean, TV is hard. When I do Tony's show, I'm usually just so tired because it's in the morning. I think if I did Tony's show in the afternoon or evening, if I taped it all the time, I don't think I would ever be nervous. But I think in the mornings, I'm a little nervous that I'm like, that James is going to wake up in the middle of it and come and like crush me and start yelling into the phone and ask me where his iPad is and, entitled children, how it is. So, all right. Well, thanks again, all. And we'll talk to you guys all again next week. Would love some golf guest ideas. And we'll talk to you guys all again next week.
Bet the process.